I've
Here we go. Word on the internet. It is teacher on the radio, Andrew Smith, teacher by weekday over at the Tennessee Tech and DJ on Saturday at WTTU 88.5 FM, The Nest. And we're pre-recording this segment on the YouTube and the Facebook Live because I have a very special guest to celebrate a very special occasion, which is the brand new release of a 25-minute hardcore 7-track album called Salt Pile by Cookeville's own Dog's Body. And as a true confession, teacher on the radio, most of the music I get into is not from Cookeville. And on the show tonight is my friend and neighbor and former colleague at school, former student in one of my classes, actually survived 15 weeks with me as the professor. Blake Marlow, welcome to Teacher on the Radio.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, we check a lot of boxes now.
We do. And as a matter of fact, you were on Teacher on the Radio once before, a couple summers ago as a guest DJ. You curated a whole playlist.
That's right. Yeah, I dug in my 7-inch, my Nashville, Tennessee adjacent 7-inch collection.
And you tested out your NPR voice and your hard rock FM radio voice.
Yeah, I went through a couple. I had to play with a couple different ideas in case anybody, I treat it like a job interview.
So I asked Blake to get online tonight because I am completely obsessed, and I've listened about 10 times through the new Salt Pile release that's out everywhere on Friday, April the 5th. So depending on when you listen to it, it might already be out. So wherever you get your music, whether you stream it on the internet or not, you can find it. And also there's going to be a limited edition cassette tape circulating around town. So we're going to get to talking a lot about that new band, The Dog's Body, which is Blake's second band. But I want you to, because I don't know if I've even ever heard the full origin story to Blake Marlow. And I've against your, without consulting you first, I've dubbed you the Dean of Cookeville punk rock. So you were in a band called Commander Keen for about 10 years. Tell us about how you got to listening and loving indie rock, punk rock, DIY alternative rock, how you got into as a fan, how old you were, what some of your first loves were, and then how you took up the guitar and writing songs and how you found your way into a punk band. Just take us a little bit through your rock and roll origin story.
Sure. I didn't really start playing music until I was maybe at least seriously until I was 17 or 18. So I was kind of a late bloomer. And, I played drums for a while, and then I always had guitar, and I never really took it that seriously until I was probably I don't know, college freshman or sophomore. And I was like, well, I want to write songs. And I was kind of gravitated to punk music and, especially old punk. I really loved the Stooges. I loved Velvet Underground. I loved Sonic Youth because, frankly, they all kind of sucked at playing their instruments. So it's a lot easier to kind of look up to those guys that, kind of wailing on guitar, making cool sounds, but you're like, I can do that. It's I can do that. You listen to Joe Satriani or Steve Vai, you're like, I don't think I can do that, but I think I can do this. So I was kind of gravitated towards that. I'm just going to write cool songs to the best of my ability, whatever that is. And that's kind of what drew me to, early punk music and so forth and garage rock. I'm like, these guys kind of suck. I kind of suck. They're making cool music. I think I can do it too. So that's kind of what got me into that.
And when you say college, was this here in Cookeville already?
Yeah. So that would have been I think we started Commander Keen in 2011. So, or maybe it might have even been 2010. It gets a little fuzzy. 2010, 11, 12-ish. So I was about a sophomore in college here. Yeah.
And you came up here from Murfreesboro. Why did you had this amazing university right there in Murfreesboro? Well, why did you want to come to Cookeville?
Well, I think I just didn't want to live with my parents anymore. and this was close. It was close enough to where I feel like I could move out. But if I absolutely just got put out on my ass, I could crawl home.
So around that time, 10, 15 years ago, there was this very kind of gloomy Cookeville. I don't even know what psychedelic punk band called Hellbender. Were you aware of that scene when you got here? And kind of the I describe your you've already read the review I have of the Dog's Body record, but I feel like you're part of a lineage of kind of rural southern punk that's like a little scuzzy, you know. And in terms of the way, not you, of course, you're a perfectly clean cut upstanding citizen yourself, but I'm just talking about like the way the music sounds. It's got this kind of like rough edge to it. So were you aware of that kind of hellbender thing when you got here?
Oh, for sure. I think I was kind of late to the party on some of that, but like when we were doing shows at like the old skate shop over there, I think it was on Franklin Street. Uh like a lot of the guys like in KMA, some of like the old punk guys had a hangout over there. Same guys that own the skate shop now, and like Hellbender played there. But I know Hellbender had been around for a while, and then I kind of got hip to it towards like the last couple of years of their tenure. But yeah, Hellbender is one of my favorite bands, and Mikey Allred, who played bass with them, and he was also in he's been in a couple other bands. He actually recorded the 10-inch I did, and he did Commander Keen's like full length. So I've got a pretty good relationship with Mikey Allred.
And with Commander Keen, did you guys ever go out like on a tour? Did you do the whole like let's get a van and drive around and do shows? How far out did you get outside of Tennessee or ever?
Yeah, we definitely did that. I mean, we toured as much as like me being a full-time student, having a job, or being like even a TA when I was in grad school. We'd go out and do like basically like spring break, fall break. We'd do like 10, 11, 12-day runs. We went as like west as Texas and as far north as like Boston and Maine and Detroit. So we did kind of like we just played wherever anybody would have us, really. But a lot of Midwest, Texas, did some East Coast stuff, a little up north. So we definitely did like the DIY tour circuit.
So when you guys were getting started, it was before the Cookeville micro brewery boom. But we have, we've got like your 37 seater and your red silo. For a good long while, we had Hicks, which was a thing of its own. But sometimes, in a college town, at the establishments, they want to hear, a cover band, or they want to hear, our nothing against this guy. I love the guy, but they want to hear like a Jake Hoot, who's like a kind of a pop country songwriter type.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not really like there's a scene, but it's been hard like to keep sustenance, right? So several years ago, you decided you needed to open your own venue. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? I'm really curious. I only kind of knew about it peripherally at the time because you did that street fair that one day in the street behind your venue. But you ran a DIY music venue called Narlington Cemetery for a few years. Tell us a little bit about how you set that up and what were some of the highlights of being a kind of a booking agent as well as a band member.
Well, I came to realize how much it it sucks to do that kind of thing. It was, parts of it were fun. I can't take credit for all of it. Austin Fly, who I know really well, he was kind of my partner in crime on that. We kind of heard about a space through like a friend, and we met the owner, and we kind of went down there and sort of fixed the place up, and then we hosted bands. I mean, it was a lot of cool stuff down there, but it's just a lot to try to do while you're in your own band, you're in a small town, you're in school, you're like trying to basically, like, every weekend I had was just gone, just doing shows all the time. But I get to host a lot of cool shows. But with most like DIY kind of places, it sort of ran its course. And
was there a highlight, like as far as like any touring groups that came through, or any kind of just shenanigans that you're allowed to tell us that the statute of limitations is passed on, or anything like that?
Yeah, I tore my ACL in a mosh pit down there. So that so that happened. I physically injured myself significantly in that basement. I think, like, honestly, the highlight for me, I know we had a lot of really cool acts come through there, and there's even been bands like I kind of like looked back through like the emails. I was like, man, that band's really good now. I should have fucking booked them. But it was like I had my friends down there. I had a buddy. I had two friends in a band called Mega Juice, and it was like it was like maybe my 25th or 6th birthday, and I had them down there. Every year on my birthday, Austin thought it was funny to get me a bottle of Mad Dog 2020. I'd drink all of it because I have no self control, and it just got wild down there. It was a super fun night. I loved all those bands. I have a recording of that set, and that's probably my favorite show ever that happened down there.
Say the name of the group again. Are they still around?
They're not Mega
Oh,
Juice. Mega
Mega
Juice.
Juice. Is that one word?
Yeah, it is. It's like juice, like spelled like Joos, Mega Juice.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm good friends with their drummer Wes Mitchell, who's played on a bunch of my stuff. That guy's he's an ace. He played with I don't know if you ever heard the band Bully.
Okay.
He played drums with Bully for a while, but good pal of mine, good drummer, and yeah, those guys are the best. Just party rock, drum and bass, awesome band. One of my favorite bands ever.
I'm glad you mentioned the Stooges because for some strange reason, Cookeville always reminded me of Detroit, and just like the layout of the town, like the school I used to go to, Wayne State, was right next to the hospital. Tech is right next to the hospital, and there was like a little district, like a little downtown district. You know, obviously this is a much smaller version of that, but also there was the Detroit punk scene in the 80s and 90s was also very, very interesting. And kind of had that like nastiness that I find in the Cookeville sound. That was like the Laughing Hyenas, and that was John Brannon, who was in Negative Approach. If you've never listened to them, it's just something else. So I think I probably saw Commander Keen more than once, but the only show that I for sure remember was your Goodbye show at Hicks in the yard out there in the outdoor patio yard there, and everybody in the band took their shirt off, and then half the guys in the front. I don't think any people who present as female took their shirts off, but a lot of the guys took their shirts off, and we're having like and it wasn't like summer, but it was like fall or something. Anyway, so was that a common occurrence for like there to be like a bro like topless mosh in the front at your shows?
I'll say this: it's definitely happened more than once.
Okay. It seems like some of your people knew what they were doing, like that they'd been there before.
Yeah, they'd done it before. Well, I would never ask the women in the crowd to do such a thing. I don't want to be canceled. You know, if you're whatever your heart desires. But yeah, I've definitely done that before. I generally drink some whiskey. I'm playing, and then I yell at all the boys to take their shirts off, and most of them do it, and it generally turns out really good because everybody's less inhibitions and they're slamming around, and we're having a good time. All for fun.
It did not seem problematic. It didn't seem problematic to me. It definitely seemed on the. I mean, you have this ability, I think, where you are too likable as a person to. You don't come off as menacing. I don't get like. I don't get like really like vicious kind of like there are some people in the and I don't even want to name check who these people are, but there's people in the punk rock lineage who have a dark side, but you've got a joviality to you and a friendliness to you that I'm not scared of you. Like so the hijinks are somewhat they seem to be in a good spirit. But lyrically, I don't think I ever, sat and studied the lyrics to a Commander Keen song. But when you sent me the release, you sent me the lyric sheet, and I was just taken like straight out the door by your lyrics on this album and how incredibly in your face they are, how incredibly kind of like ironically hilarious, but also sort of almost like Zen Buddhist they are. Because I think. There's several themes I noticed. There's like a darkness versus a light theme, a God versus the devil theme. You have the SEC versus the OVC theme, the different brands of cigarettes theme. But pulling it all together, there is a Tennessee theme. I think you mentioned our homeland of Tennessee in like at least half the tracks or more than half the tracks. Did you set out intentionally to make kind of like a Tennessee record, or like a record that is maybe, I think of it as, it reminds me of the Southern Gothic in literature, or what they call, I don't know if you ever studied this in when you were at Tech in literature, but they call it grit lit. It's kind of like there's a author Cruz, Harry Cruz,
Like Cormac McCarthy.
yes, yeah, that kind of stuff. Like, so did you ever like feel like that's what your goal was as a lyricist, to kind of write that kind of underbelly of the South? Because that's kind of what it feels like to me. Pretty much almost every song has a little taste of that Southern Gothic vibe to it.
Yeah, I definitely did. Like, even from like the onset, I wanted to do like, I initially wanted to do like a record called like something like 10 songs about Tennessee. That's where it started. It kind of like, I feel like even like things that come together kind of start with an idea that didn't quite work out all the way. But I kind of like having something to kind of push up against as an idea, to kind of, to me, that kind of makes me more creative, to kind of have like some confines to like doing an album, like having an idea, like something you're kind of just bouncing shit off of and keeping it in line. And if you get off the rails somewhere, cool, but it's like, it's nice to kind of have a baseline. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write a bunch of songs about Tennessee, uh you know not necessarily like one particular idea, but just kind of rooting it in that, and just like, like things going on here, things I've seen just being around Tennessee. I kind of wanted to keep it home.
Well, I don't want anybody who hasn't heard the record yet. It comes out on Friday. But if you're a friend and you're watching this, Blake will totally give you a link. He said,
Yeah.
he gave me the leak. He leaked his own album. He gave me the leak and said, leak it to whoever you want. So I sent it to about 5 people today. So, but I don't want people to think this is like a rock opera or like a concept album, but that through line really got to me after a while, because I so related to it. So, the second track is called Deep and Wide, and you're building on this idea of like the water, but it almost like has this, like, it's like a gospel song, or like a Sunday, like, but it's not like a sophisticated, it's like a Sunday school jingle. And then it's like, okay, but even God can't make the water flow backwards at Cummins Falls. Even God will not push the water up the hill at Cummins Falls. And then you have this, here's the church and here's the steeple. By the way, on the cassette, it's got a picture of the gigantic metal cross that's on the campus of the River Community Church that's right off of I-40, which has been defaced by anarchist vandals from out of town. It's been a site of great people who are religious will hike. They have a hiking trail where you can go up and like pray at the foot of that cross. And the people who aren't from here, who aren't religious, make fun of it whenever they, oh, you live in that town with the giant cross. So you have this line in here, here's the church and here's the steeple, and locked inside are the little people. But then the last line is deep and wide is his love. So like, I think, I don't know if you intentionally set out to be like Walt Whitman, because Walt Whitman said, do I contradict myself? Yes, I contain multitudes. But like, were you like back home in Murfreesboro, were you brought up going to like Sunday school, or is this something you've just picked up because you live in Tennessee and it's the Bible, but we all live like a block. Everybody in Tennessee lives a block from a church, or did you have that as part of your like background?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up Southern Baptist. I lived in like back. I don't want to call it backwoods, but like a very small town in Southern Illinois. I mean, like 600 people. So I was brought up Southern Baptist. I went to Vacation Bible School. I went to Sunday school. I did all that, and I'm not particularly a religious person anymore. But I don't know. I think they're interesting characters because like everybody that's grown up with it, you've heard hymns, you've heard, you've been to church. It's like you can't exactly, erase it. And I never had like a totally traumatic experience in church like a lot of people, have, but I just kind of quit going and didn't really, believe in it like I did. So I like to kind of use it as characters. And
yeah, I wouldn't. If anybody listens to this record who is like me, I'm a total lyrics nerd, and my favorite genres are folk and Americana and country right now. And I listen to a lot of those. genres because they're so lyrically rich. But this is a very lyrically rich album. But I don't think anybody will. I hope we won't have any salt pile literalists, because everything here is you're using these metaphors that everybody can connect with, and you're taking them to the next level. So like I'm going to jump ahead to what may be the hit or the classic, the tune-up game, and that's the video. There's a beautiful video out of this song that they recorded at the Glass Tangerine here in Cookeville. But this, and obviously a lyrics are like a poem. There's different sections that are about different things, but the opening stanza appears to be about the times that Tennessee Tech went and played the Vols and got beat 56-0 twice within our lifetime.
Yeah, that was the whole. I mean, that was kind of the whole inspiration for the song. Is like, and maybe I'm a huge. I know we're football guys, so this isn't news to us, but to the non-football listening person. I've always called them tune-up games. It's like they'll pay Tech or MTSU is maybe even a little higher echelon than
They are.
Tech, but they'll pay a team like TTU to go play the Vols. They'll pay them like $3-4 million just to go to Knoxville, go to Neyland, and get their ass kicked.
Yep.
And that's just a tune-up game. That is to like, all right, we're going to run like the weirdest schemes we have. We're going to like make sure everybody's in the right position. We're absolutely going to win this game. Although UT did lose to Appalachian State one year, but we don't have to go there. They did lose a tune-up game. But yeah, that was like the whole idea is like, and that's kind of life. Sometimes it feels like, you're just getting paid to get your ass kicked over and over again.
In the Venn diagram of people we know, we have friends that are into sports ball who are not into alternative rock. It's definitely not in a deeper way like we are. And we have friends that are into alternative rock that are not into sports ball. But in the Venn diagram of our lives, we love football, NFL and NCAA. So I just that spoke to me because I teach a lot of our student athletes. I've always tried to be extremely supportive of them. I try to go to as many different Tech games, and I just really related to that. The total, like, I mean, it was like a cold shower, those first couple stanzas, because it kind of hurts a little bit the way that you worded it, and then you switched over to like almost like a Robert Johnson move. I don't know if you were channeling Robert Johnson on purpose, but you say, but in life, sometimes it's worth it to lose, and you can make a deal, to maybe, work out a different outcome to your plot points here. And so there's almost like this, like how to get out of it by working it out with the devil. So then the devil's a character for like half the song or the majority of the song. And then we have these lines like die like a man or die like a lion. And then finally, the conclusion of this song is like a sing-along. And by the way, everybody, you haven't heard the record yet, you're going to love this record. Every single song has like very, how should I put it? Very primary rock guitars. So this is a guitar album. There's Blake and and Aaron, Aaron Phillips, the lead guitar. So Aaron and Blake's guitars just elevate every song. And every song, it's not like pop punk, like Green Day is pop punk, but they're very hooky. Like the songs like have very memorable melodies or guitar lines that just kind of, and they're not, the lyrics can get a little bit dark, but the music is like not dark at all. It's like really like I want to just dance right now. I'm going to go and bump into you on Friday night at the opening show. But he's got this chorus at the end, all hail the SEC, God bless America, and God bless Tennessee. And then he busts into Rocky Top. So, I mean, I feel like this could be on the alternative station in Nashville, the big alternative station, 90.
What I can't remember what it is, but if you got a hookup over there, send it.
Yeah, we need to get
send it their way.
This song. First of all, you definitely need to send it to the college stations at MTSU and the college station at Knoxville. Surely they'll play this on 91.7 in Knoxville and whatever the one. I can't remember. I should have wrote these things down. I can't remember the call letters or the numbers of any, but there's good alternative radio in Knoxville.
Yeah,
Murfreesboro and
and
Nashville.
Murfreesboro.
Yeah, I just feel like this is like the hit because that last stanza, and it's not really a chorus because it only comes in at the end, but it's is a banger, you guys. And this one you can go and listen to on YouTube right
Mhm.
now. What is the name of that the guys that produced the video?
Found Sound. So it's I'm involved, but I do the least hard work if anybody in that crew. It's Zach who plays drums in Dog's Body. He does all the audio, and Matt Matheson does all the video, and they crush it. They're
So
so good.
if you go just go into your search bar on YouTube and put in Found Sounds and Dog's Body, you'll get it. It's a beautifully produced video, brand new. My favorite song on the album, and that was hard to say because this other song is also about Tennessee. Is called Power Lines. And I'm wondering, is the haunted house in this song? Is that a real haunted house in Cookeville?
Yeah, it's not in Cookeville. My friend Mike used to live in this house out in Shiloh on Hippie Jack's property, and it was a Confederate hospital, and the place was super haunted. I know I should probably I know we're playing this on the radio. I definitely haven't watched my language at all, but I guess you can bleep stuff out if we're gonna edit it. But
Yeah, if I'm going to put it on WTTU, which I hope to do,
we'll have
I'll just
to.
have to cut your cussing.
I didn't think of it.
He's a cussing. He's a whiskey drinking, cuss word spitting. Were you born in Illinois?
I was.
Oh, all of our connection. I was born in Illinois, also, dude. Our connections there.
Where at?
Chicago.
Oh, see, I was born like in the butt crack, Illinois. You know where Mount Vernon's at?
Yep.
I was born like outside of Mount Vernon, so I was
Is that
born out.
near Carbondale?
Yeah, a little bit, like maybe like an hour. So it's like basically if you're coming up from like Paducah, Kentucky through like West Kentucky, you'll go up through like you'll hit Carbondale and then you'll go up and then you'll eventually hit Mount Vernon. And then like St. Louis is like another hour like up and a little west.
You know, that's where Wilco's all from, and also Sunvolt. Jeff Tweedy and I can't say the man's name from Sunvolt. Jay Farrar are all from rural Western Illinois.
Hmm. Yeah.
Margot Price is from, I think, Southern Indiana. So anyway, this song though. So okay, so there's a haunted hospital. Tell me about the haunted hospital.
So yeah, Micah lived out there and we try to like record back in the day we tried to record like a Commander Keen album out there in the house, and some weird stuff just happened. Like our cables got cut and our tracks like disappeared like in the session. And one night, we eventually were just like, all right, we're not, it was kind of like, I don't know, trying to put a raw oyster in a parking meter. It just wasn't working. So I was packing my stuff up. And as I'm going out to the car, I see this like white figure like move across the tree line. And like all the hair on my arms like stood up straight. And I was like, oh shit, that's like a ghost out there. And I was like, Micah, you ever see any like weird stuff out here? He's like, yeah, all the time. There's like, this place is super haunted. So that kind of like gave me the kind of the grounding for like that song idea, just writing about his house. And but it's really pretty out there. I love it. Out at
And then you
Hippies.
mentioned sinkholes, and there's so many sinkholes and underground caves in Tennessee. It's do you know Chuck Sutherland? You probably know Chuck Sutherland. He's a local guy that all he does is explore caves. I mean, it's just insane. And he's mapped all these different caves, and there's all this underground sinkhole cave stuff right around campus. There's an underground sinkhole just north of campus that actually feeds an underground river that goes above ground right before it gets to Cummins Falls. And then I love, because they sometimes the pundit class likes to refer to us as like flyover country, or we're just a forgettable red state, and I hate those stereotypes. I'm sure you know me how much I hate those stereotypes. But you said, I don't want to die somewhere out on the West Coast under billboard signs. I don't want to die somewhere on the East Coast under power lines. Send my body back home to Tennessee. And it's very like, I don't care if I live in the land of ghosts and haunted houses and sinkholes. This is home. Bring me home. And you have a Bring Me Home refrain in Killing a Sacred Hog, which is a great song title, which is the track right after that. And there's like a whole thing in that section in that song where you're like, moonshine headlights guiding me back to town, going guns blazing, singing hallelujah. Don't stop for the cops, just fly right through them. We've got money to burn, going to shake your county down. So that's like a very, I can just see people riding out on rural roads, driving too fast, being a little bit too under the influence. So it's a very tangible, almost like a snapshot. So I'm glad to know that my hunch that you planned it to be so regional. I didn't get the title though. The title, a lot of these tracks, the titles fit. What is a salt pile, and how does it fit with the overall? And like, why does that the first track? It's a great song. It's not my favorite on the album, but it's a great song. What's the connection there?
I can't even really remember why I called it Salt Pile. But I wrote that song. I kind of had it envisioned like not so much as like a standalone thing, but like feeding right into Deep and Wide. I kind of wanted something to like almost set the palette a little bit before, the whole thing just like takes off. But I kind of wrote that. I wrote that about a deceased friend of mine, Ty Casey. I kind of wrote that for him, and just I thought it kind of thematically just kind of condensed everything. And I like it when albums do that, when you kind of, at least like a thoughtful album, which, depending on who you ask, maybe I succeeded, maybe I didn't, but I tried to make a thoughtful album. And I wanted to kind of condense all of those ideas, like really clean into like a really short thing, like Memory, The South, like Loss, and all that stuff. I just kind of wanted to put it there in a little nugget.
Well, it's very coherent lyrically and thematically, and it's very moving. I feel very in touch with these songs, and it just kicks butt too. It's just a hard fun, and it's fast, but it's not too fast. But there's no experimental ballads. There's no like 20-minute noodling songs. I love the Decemberists, but they like just dropped this like 20-minute single off their next album. They're trying to be like, this is a very tight. There's no songs over I think hardly over 4 minutes. It's very tight. So your current band is Aaron Phillips on lead guitar. Now, Blake, you're the primary songwriter. You also produced the album yourself. Is that right?
Well, I mean, I can't really call myself a producer. So Zach Ramsey did all the engineering for it.
Okay.
I certainly had input on the stuff, but I wouldn't call myself necessarily a producer here. We made some kind of, him and I made some kind of co-decisions on how we were going to do this thing, because, there's a couple different, we did it all in his house, and we did most of it in a room live, like everybody in the same room together. It's like, well, we can either, and we did this on a couple, we can like multi-track everything to a click and lay stuff on top of it and do the overdubs. That's how most things are done now. Or we could really, because some of them, like the tempos float, and like the songs, like, on the surface, they probably seem really kind of simple, but a lot of them, like, verses don't repeat. There's not really a chorus, and there's a lot of different parts. So it's like we probably need to do it live to get the right feel. So we kind of made that decision to go more for, like, I think it sounds great, but we made more of a decision. Like, I would rather emphasize like really good, energetic takes to these songs.
No, that comes off really clear. It's well produced, but it's not overproduced. But what I guess in my question, and I'm a little bit, because that's not my side of the house, and even when I've been close to bands, I never quite understood, under the hood, down to where you noodle with what knobs and stuff like that. But what I'm trying to get at here is that you guys produced it yourselves. This was a completely,
yes.
you didn't hire out, you didn't have to rent studio time. Like the external expenses are in terms of getting the cassette made or whatever, but like you built this thing on your own equipment in your own different spaces using your own editing software. I mean, you guys, this is a completely in-house project. And when you say live, you mean you did takes of the song like each song that we hear on the album is a take that was recorded in a room with all four of you guys present.
Yes. The only thing that got dubbed were the vocals, and I mean, if you've got a really good ear, you might be able to pick up like the scratch vocals like in your headphones. But yeah, we it was just the just that Zach did it. It's not an easy thing to do. To I mean, we're talking like an 11 by 11 room, like a small room, drum kit, both guitars, bass. Those Most of those songs are one take.
That's really amazing. And it's Tommy Judd on the bass, Zach Ramsey, who you've already told me a lot about on the drums because he also has production side. And is this a lineup you guys anticipate sticking together as the Dog's Body?
So, just to clarify, the record, Jake Phillips, Aaron's brother, played drums on that, but he left the band after the record got done, and so we kind of did some lineup swapping. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna kind of run with this lineup. We're all, everybody's got jobs. Zach's in another band. Aaron's got a job in a house. Tommy, we're all like adult, we're all adult men. So we just kind of do it when we can. And Jake still plays with us if Zach can't do it. So this is the core. I mean, there's like not that many people in Cookeville that do this. So
Are
it's
you
not
going
a,
to try to get out and go and do some shows in Nashville, Knoxville, Asheville, Birmingham, Louisville, St. Louis? Where are you gonna let the world know about this thing? Because it's really good.
I'd like to. I mean, just like wherever, wherever people will have us, we'll go play. Booking sucks. It's really hard. And it's like I cut my teeth like for 10 years in a band. So it's kind of hard to stomach the idea of like having to play like, I know this sounds bad, like play like crappy shows again, like at absolute toilets like I did for 10 years. So I'm 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 not in a position to be picky, but I am being picky. I'd like to play fun shows. But yeah, I'd love to go play like out of town. We've still got buddies that live, in Kentucky and Little Rock and all over the country. So I'd like to get out there, and if it's even just like a weekend, go play some shows.
Well, I really hope you do because I think people need to hear this material, and I'm going to do what I can to turn on some of my friends who are music people to the record. For those of you listening on the internet, live on Monday night, April the 1st, or during the week when I've posted this link everywhere, and Blake, I'm sure, will post this link everywhere. There is a show on this Friday. Why don't you tell us all about what the show is this coming Friday? I believe it's a Friday night at the Warehouse Skate Shop on Spring Street right here in the heart of Cookeville.
Yeah, so we're doing our album release show at the skate shop. It's kind of, it's a DIY spot. If you know, and if you don't know, you can ask me about it and I'll tell you where it's at. But like you kind of hinted at earlier, I mean, we don't really have. There's not really a home anymore since like Hicks closed down. That's like I hate to say like above board, like. So that's kind of what we got. But Louie and all those guys over there, I've known them forever, and they've been super huge help supporters to this band, Commander Keen, for years. So they're sweethearts for letting me make a racket in their clubhouse.
And you're bringing a couple of support acts. And what time do we need to show up on Friday night?
Yeah, I'm bringing Jake Kroll from Murfreesboro. He's like my little cousin. I played in his band for a little bit. Love the guy. We're also bringing Casual Sex from Murfreesboro. They're really awesome. Definitely like poppy, catchy punk indie band. I really like them. We're gonna, people can probably show up around like 7:30. Shows at 8, which means probably 8:30. But you should get there on time, see all the bands. But yeah, no cover, just donations. We're just gonna have a good time.
And that's Casual Sex, spelled SECTS. A little pun, a little play on words.
Yeah,
and I went on the I use everybody uses. Some people use Apple Music, some people use YouTube, some people use Amazon Music, some people use Tidal, some people only listen to vinyl. But I use the old Spotify, and I was able to find a Jake Kroll album on there of a live set that was fantastic. And the Casual Sex out of Murfreesboro have some material up there, and also some of the Dog's Body earlier material is available already to stream, so you can get your head in the game. It's a local DIY show right here in Cookietown, Cookeville, Tennessee. And I'm a teacher on the radio. My guest for the last 40 minutes has been Blake Marlow. He's the primary songwriter and creative force in Dog's Body, but they are a 4-piece band, and all 4 of them will be there on Friday night. So he'll be there with his bandmates, Aaron Phillips, Tommy Judd, and Zach Ramsey. And there's also, I've seen them, actual cassettes, limited edition, for sale. And also, I've got my first ever Dog's Body t-shirt. It is a beautiful thing. It's a thing of beauty I will wear proudly around town. Blake printed up some flyers he's going to put up around town. I grabbed a few to put up on campus. I'm going to nag his former colleagues in the English department. So you were, did you get 2 degrees did you get a bachelor's and master's in English?
I did. I double dipped. So I got my undergrad. I kind of took like a little year off and came back and got my master's. So,
and you even taught for us for a little while.
I did. I taught like I don't know what do you call it. I was like a student teacher. You know, I taught like 1010 and 1020. I loved it. I just I realized very soon like how hard it was to get a teaching job.
You like money. You like to eat.
Well, I know it doesn't sound very punk rock, but I do like being able to afford being alive.
Right. So anyway, everybody, he hasn't lost any of the of his ethos, even that he is adulting now. And I can't believe that you were only like 20, only 20 or 21 when I met you. So everyone, Blake Marlow, the Dog's Body, brand new album called Salt Pile. It's out this Friday everywhere. Stream it. Put a link for your friends to stream it. Put it in your Facebook music groups. Put it on your Instagram. I want to thank Blake for coming on Teacher on the Radio. I'll see if I'm able to, I'll have to edit the interview I think we had a few S words and a few F words. I'll have to try to, my show, no, Teacher on the Radio, I don't do it every weekend, but when I do it in the mornings on Saturday morning. So I know the FCC believes that children might be listening to the radio. I don't know that anybody listens to the actual radio anymore. They listen to their smartphones, but some people actually have a car radio and they do like to tune it to. I think I probably get a lot of casual, accidental listeners, people just doing the old, click, click, click on the scanning of the stations. I know when I go to Nashville, I love to listen to the indie radio stations in Nashville. Same with Murfreesboro. Blake, thanks for coming online with me tonight. Everybody, you're going to love this album, and I hope it takes Dog's Body to the next level. Thanks for talking tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.